Okay. Hi, welcome to Babywearing 101. I'm here with baby Tula. My name is Amy. We are going to talk about newborn wearing in this hour that we're going to spend together. We're going to talk about safety basics for really all carrier types. We're going to talk about Tula carriers, but the stuff that I'm going to tell you applies to so many different types of baby carriers. Of course, I'm getting a call right now. We're going to talk about facing out. We're going to talk about back carrying, ring slings, as much stuff as we can get in the hour that we have. So hello, if you're joining live, say hi in the comments. I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? I know we're on Eastern time, so maybe a lot of East Coast people, but I already see SoCal. While you drop that in the comments, if you're here live, if you're watching the replay, let us know in the comments anyway, because I think it's still really fun, even if you're watching the replay. I will introduce myself. My name is Amy Rainbow. It is my real last name. I am a baby wearing educator who lives here in Portland, Oregon. Speaking of where you're from, I live in Portland, Oregon. I have 3 kids. They are just turned 18 on Saturday, so I've been baby wearing since 2003, if you can believe it. I don't know if I can. And then we also have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old. We have a dog and 2 cats. What else? I don't know. There's so much to cover that I can't even think about introducing myself. But an important thing about me is that I'm a baby wearing educator. I'm the type of person that people go to, people like me, when you need help with carriers. So I hope that you get a whole lot from the hour that we're going to spend together today, and you can go ahead and watch the replay and keep absorbing all the information. And there's more baby wearing, like Chrissy is here with Ergo Baby, more baby wearing educators to learn from. But we are around if you need help after this time is over today. Baby Tula, Ergo Baby have great resources as well. There are baby wearing educators that are here to help you. So if you're not getting what you need out of this hour, I hope that you do. But if you're not getting what you need, let me know. Thank you. I like my last name too. I appreciate the compliment. Phoenix, Long Island, New York, Michigan, Kazoo. Am I saying that right? Pennsylvania, I like to read these out. South Carolina, Ohio, Orlando, Texas, Wisconsin, Illinois, Princeton, Indiana, South Texas, Dallas, Texas, Washington State. Hey, woohoo, Pacific Northwest. Hello, welcome, Cincinnati, Minnesota. Okay, you guys are from all over. I love it. Keep it going. These are great. If you have questions, the chat box you can also use as we go along. Let me know if you have questions. I'm going to dive right in because, like I said, we have a lot to cover, and I'm going to start talking first about some newborn baby wearing options. One of those is our Explore carrier. This is what the Explore carrier looks like. You can tell the difference between the Explore and some of our other carrier types because this one has buttons on the front. So there's that. What's really cool about soft structured carriers lately is that they've gotten even more simple and streamlined. If you are familiar with carriers as they've been the last years or so, then you might know that some have required an infant insert because they just haven't been able to get small enough for those itty bitty newborns, and then also support babies as they get older. Really cool thing about carriers lately is that they have little tools, usually inside the waistband. For baby Tula, it's right inside the waistband here, but they have tools to shrink down. This is the seat part of the carrier here, and this is where baby sits, where their bottom goes and their knees come out to the sides here. I'll explain all that in a minute. But what it does is inside the waist belt here, I just smacked myself in the face with it. Live programming, you know. There are a bunch of snaps inside here on both sides. So you unsnap them, slide the fabric over, and that makes everything happen. There we go. For a little itty bitty newborn. So this seat part here, where baby sits, just got a whole lot smaller. There's also, up here on the panel, a little pillow that can go up and down that can make this carrier taller or shorter. So for when your baby gets taller and for when they're shorter. So to put it on, I put it on backward because there's a little bit of safety elastic here. That's pretty important. Make sure you get your buckle through there. Click it, slide her over. And I'm going to use my little newborn size doll. This is Hazel. Hello. She says hello to all of you who are out there. And then I'm going to put this panel part, just kind of smooth it up her back. Place these straps on my shoulders. Find this clip that's back here. Clip that. And I like to clip it up, really up nice and high like this, because it's hard for me to reach all the way down here. So if I take it up like this, kind of pull it up and behind me, so I've got some tension. I'm holding on to baby too, but when I pull it up and behind, I've got a good amount of tension for when I'm doing the two-handed operation. And then I can drop that and tighten up underneath my arms. Find my strap back here. There it is. And bring it forward on both sides. And that tightens this up. We've got a hood situation going on. I need to adjust a little bit. Hazel is a little bit smaller than your average newborn. She's a preemie size, if you will. The sizing on this one goes down to 7 pounds for a newborn, so it starts pretty early for most babies. There we go. We're starting to get. There we go. Now we can see Hazel's head. But you can see for her itty bitty little wingspan, let me get this head out of the way. For her itty bitty little wingspan, we've got really good knee to knee coverage. Her knees aren't straight like this, her legs aren't straight. They can bend really freely. And we're not making the carrier really like move out of the way in order to allow for her knees to bend freely. It'll probably make more sense as we go along and you see more and more carriers and how they work. But this seat part where baby is sitting is a really important safety part of baby wearing. It's kind of the foundation for everything else, for making sure that baby's airway is nice and supported. So before we really get too into how to use it, which, I mean, if you stop right there, you've already got the basics, right? Clip your waist belt, get baby in, shoulder straps up, click, and you're good to go. It's that quick and simple. But before we talk about more details of how else you could use the carrier, a few questions that I see coming in. I have your questions down here if I keep looking down there. That's why, but a few questions that I've seen coming in. Yes, washable. They are, all of our carriers are machine washable because it's a baby product. It should probably be machine washable, I think. Another question has been very much plus size friendly. I'll show you as we go just how far the waist belt extends. I know that I'm a smaller person, but it definitely, other side of the spectrum, our carriers fit. Another one was, what else did I see? Oh, for the heat. Yeah, great for the heat. So you can see this one here. This is what we call our coast carrier, and it has a mesh panel in the middle right here. There's a coast version on our standard Tula, on the Explorer Tula, and the Free to Grow, which I'll show you in a little bit. All of our carriers have a coast option. It has a great mesh panel right here that allows for a little bit more airway and breathability. All of our carriers also have these sleepy hoods, which are mesh on the coast version, but otherwise they're made of the same fabric as the rest of the carrier. They can snap up here. There's some snaps on your shoulders. Boop. Boop. So if baby's taking a nap, which is great for carriers, they love to nap. You'll find if you don't already have a baby, the babies really love to be on your body. And so napping in a carrier is something that you might get used to depending on how much your baby loves to be in the carrier. If your baby really loves to be in the carrier, you might find yourselves doing some naps on this one, in this one, and the hood can really help block out some noise, some light, while still allowing plenty of airflow on the sides. Also great for a little privacy if you want to breastfeed in your carrier, which is absolutely possible to do. The hood is great for that as well. It's also a detachable hood. I'll take mine off in a little bit. I feel like when you're demoing, it just shows it a little bit more. And that's a couple of the features that are standard on all of our carriers. The coast version with the panel is an option that you can find on all of our carriers, but all of our carriers are washable. They're all plus size friendly. They come with this hood. And let's talk about price. The Explorer retails for $179. There's also a coupon code. I can't remember it off the top of my head because I forgot to write it down, but I'll make sure that we'll get that by the end of the time, which is good through tomorrow, the 10th. So yeah, great for the heat, washable. The material on most of the material on all these that I'll show today, the Explorer, the Free to Grow, is a twill, a brushed twill fabric. So out of the box, it's already super soft and floppy, which is great for like not having to have like a break-in period. You can wash it before first use, but it's already soft and floppy right outside of the box. Plus size friendly, neutral prints are available. You can see I've got a few fun prints today, but that's one of the fun things about Tula is that they have some neutral prints, but they also have some really fun extra prints, and they do what's called woven wrap conversion carriers, which is their signature line of carriers. If you go on babytula.com, you'll see a few different categories of carriers. One of them is signature, which we'll talk about when we get to ring slings later. But the signature carriers are woven wraps, which are really soft woven fabric that have been converted into Tula carriers. And they're also super soft and floppy right outside of the box. Okay, Prego 30. Thank you, Sam. Prego 30 is the code to get 30% off Tula products. CD Hood. Okay. These are some great questions. I hope that I get to them all. And I think that I will. Okay, excellent. But if you have questions, I promise what you've already asked. If I haven't already answered, I'll get to. So keep asking them because I'll see them come through. Let's keep going with some carriers. Let me take this one off because there's so many more. But just a refresher, this one is the Explorer. We know it's the Explorer because it has these buttons on the front. The difference between the Explorer and the Free to Grow or the standard carrier is that the Explorer is the only Tula carrier that faces out. So it has, we call it like a 6-in-1 because it has that facing out option, facing in for a newborn, facing in for an infant, back carries, so many different things that you can do with it. It is machine washable. It retails for $179, and the weight limit is 7 to 45 pounds. So a bunch of the basics on this one. Another thing that's helpful, I mentioned one way to help with the clip back here. This back here we call a chest clip or a retainer clip, depending on if you're back carrying or if you're front carrying. But you'll want it to be right about where I have it here, which is about, like I like to say when you do this with your arms, kind of where those bones kind of point to each other back there. That's kind of where you want your chest clip to be. So it makes like a capital H, or to show with my fingers all of a sudden. So it makes like a capital H on your back. A lot of people will wear this clip up pretty high because, like I said before, it's really hard. It's hard to do that sort of motion and get to the chest clip. So what I did before, and I'll show it to you again real quick if you're just joining us now and if you're on live. And if you are on live and haven't said where you're from, I would love to know. Oh, yes, no. When you're bending over, this is a great question about just using carriers. When you're bending over, just go down like so. When you're planting and working out in the garden or doing work around the house or working on your computer and you go to sit down, just do kind of your squat lowering instead of your bend lowering, and you're good to go on the ergonomics. I know that's one thing that I'm not going to get back to. Great for tall people and sharing between people of absolutely different body sizes, because you've got all this adjustability. You can get it so much longer. I'm going to cover that actually in just a minute. Pennsylvania, North Carolina, California, you guys are from all over the place. I love seeing those, so thank you for those comments. So I mentioned getting on the carrier, hard to get back here. Loosening up these straps a lot though. See if I can get it even looser. I can't reach. My range of motion isn't that great today either. And taking those straps behind you, making sure that whenever both hands are off baby, you're pulling these straps back and up so there's tension. So baby can't lean out away from you. You want to make sure that they're always close enough to you that you can move together, do a samba, even if you have to do a little like bouncing like this to settle baby as they're getting into the carrier. Okay, so we could do this. I put the chest clip way up here and buckle it way up above our heads. Or we could also do what we like to call the t-shirt trick. And that's just to take this clip, don't even unbuckle it. Just take it up over your head, like so. So if you got a high pony, high bun going on, you got a messy bun look happening. You got to be a little careful because it will ruin your messy bun look. If that's a thing, you can ruin a messy bun look. But taking that clip just up over your head, great way to, I'm getting another phone call. Sorry, I didn't put it on D&D. A great way great hack to getting that carrier off. Or you could also lift these up, come back here, unclip once your hand is on your baby. Remember that one. It's just an important safety tip. Make sure that your hand's on your baby, then unclip, because you're going to lose tension on at least one side once you unclip. Then we can take this down and take our baby out. Hazel, like I mentioned, if you're just tuning in, is a little bit smaller than our average newborn baby, so she was starting to sink down again in there a little bit as we ended. Let's talk more about safety tips with the next carrier that we're going to go over. So again, this one was the Explorer. We talked about all of its features, 179, 7 to 45 pounds. This one is the Coast version that has the mesh in the middle and the excellent adjustability that we found here in the waist belt that makes this little seat, it's about yay wide now, right? I can stretch my hand between those two sides, but when we take it back out, it's just about as big as the standard Tula, which is like the first ever Tula. It's so much more wide for those 45-pound toddlers. And you might be like, hey, Amy, why? Why would I want to carry a child that's 45 pounds? That's a fantastic question. Sometimes you go for a walk with them, and if you're familiar with a toddler, oftentimes you get about a quarter mile in, or some distance in, depending on how familiar your child is with hiking and how much they like it. And they're like, oh, I can't walk anymore. It's too far. Instead of hearing those beautiful sounds from your wonderful child, you could put them in your carrier on your back and pleasantly whistle along together, whatever it is, for the rest of your hike, and not have to listen to, and also be super slow down. Also, big kids love snuggles too. That's why Tula makes carriers all the way up to preschool size. So our toddler carrier would take you even after the standard. It starts at 25 pounds. And we recommend that your baby is wearing at least 2 T-size pants. Most toddler size carrier manufacturers would recommend that your baby's not only 25 pounds, but also wearing at least 2 T-size pants, which I know most of you probably got a little ways before you have to think about that. But the reason why I bring that up is because you don't need to jump into a toddler carrier, even if you're convinced that your baby is going to be 25 pounds in 6 months. If so, I'm sorry, make sure you invest in a nice quality carrier like a baby Tula so you can save your arms if you have a 25-pound 6-month-old. But also, a toddler carrier still probably isn't going to be, you probably still aren't going to be quite ready for that yet, because the 2T pants is also really important. They're so wide that making sure the baby's legs are really long enough to do that whole, I call it the knee span. So the carrier isn't puckering at the sides, so you're not putting more wear and tear on your carrier. Just wait until you're really ready. A standard carrier will get you to 45 pounds. And I've absolutely used my children in a standard carrier at 45 pounds. In fact, when the Explorer came out, we were traveling at the time, because that's back when you could travel, and I was using my kids in it, and one was 40 pounds. Totally comfortable. So let's talk about another newborn option, and that is our Explorer carrier. So this one, I know it's black, so it's a little bit harder to tell, but this one doesn't have the buttons on the front, so no facing out with this one. That makes it a little bit cheaper too. It's $159 instead of $179. Same option for the Coast. I gotta address that in a minute. Sorry. What's that? At 2:15. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Live events are fun when you have children. That was my 8-year-old. She's taking a class about cats later. She's very interested in when it starts. Okay, so same snaps though in the Free to Grow that the Explorer has. So it can still get really wide, but I've narrowed it down. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna take it out wide again, just to show you again but I have a slightly bigger baby, so I'm going to use a slightly bigger baby with this one. But do know that the Free to Grow still goes down to 7 pounds and goes up to 45 pounds, just like the Explorer. The only difference is it doesn't face out, and about 20 bucks is also the other difference. Same beautiful prints, same Coast option, still washable, still plus size friendly, which I will show, but remind me, before I take this carrier off, I need to show you, take the webbing out and show you that it is plus size friendly. Yeah, yes, see, I just got a question about that. Great, see, we're thinking, Rebecca, we're on the same mind, which is great. Oh, yes, yes, I love the support in the comments too for a big kid baby wearing, because I'm a big fan of snuggling the older kids. Older kids need snuggles too. All right, I've got a bigger baby. I'm actually gonna take the hood off this carrier real quickly, because like I said, it just kind of gets in my way when I'm demoing. There is a little snap in here, and the hood simply snaps off both sides. So you can take it off and wash it if your baby likes to chew on it, or if you chew, just find that the hood gets in your way a little bit. No worries there. I'm just checking to make sure that all my settings are good, which is a good idea when you put on a carrier, especially if you are sharing it between people of different body sizes. If you and your partner, significant other caregiver of baby are sharing the same carrier, but you're drastically different sizes, that's one thing that is a huge advantage of these carriers, because they get so big, which again, need to make sure that I show you again. They get so big. Let me get my doll. This one's name is Hampton. He's my infant doll. All my infants are plastic now because my babies are a little bit bigger. Same method to put it on, right? I clipped my waistband. There we go. I used my safety elastic, if you can see that there. I made sure that it goes through, that the webbing goes through my safety elastic, and then put my baby on my body, bring the panel of the carrier up to support them, shoulder straps on, all the way back, and remember, we're taking it back and up to maintain tension. Hamilton, we don't want him to go anywhere, even though he's plastic. We're gonna walk these up, 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 up. Do we find those clips? There it is. Oh, too far. I went too far. There are my clips. Clip. Hand on baby, and then we can let it go. That was super graceful, wasn't it? I'll reach back here and pull these forward to tighten them, which I'm being super graceful about that one too. As I tighten, let's talk about some ABCs of baby wearing safety. And these are things that apply to any carrier. Come on, I can do this. There we go. There we go. Woohoo! We did it. We tightened. If you're struggling like I was, what I did, because sometimes, especially when these are new, the webbing sticks a little bit. So what I did is I just brought this as far forward as I could. And you might need a buddy to help you with this one, or you might need to take your arm out of it and bring it up over your shoulder like this. But then lift up on this kind of tightener part of the buckle and pull that webbing through. That's what we do to release the webbing when we want to get out of it, is we lift up on this part of the slider thing. I'm sure that's the technical term in the webbing industry. That's got to be an industry. Take that up over your shoulder, lift and pull, lift this and pull this down, and that'll help us with stubborn webbing. And then you can get your arm through and kind of adjust it the rest of the way. Okay, let's talk about those ABCs of baby wearing safety, which, like I said, they apply to all carrier types, and they apply to all the different brands of carriers as well. The A stands for airway. And by airway, we just mean that we want to make sure that baby's always breathing, that we're monitoring their breathing, and that we can see where they're breathing from. We can hear, we can feel the breathing of their face, so you can't really see too well right now. Actually, I'm going to adjust this just a tiny bit for Hamilton. There's also these, so where the Free to Grow had a little pillow that I briefly touched at and talked about, this can flip up and down. We'll get back to it. Or sorry, where the Explorer had a little pillow. Sorry about that. Got to be good about my carrier names. Where the Explorer had a little pillow that made the carrier get bigger, the panel get bigger or smaller. These have little sliders here. So the panel is in the larger, taller mode right now. I'm gonna make it just a little bit smaller for Hamilton, because we want to be able to see like the top half of his head, basically from his ears up. I should be able, as the wearer, when I look down, that's what I should be able to see. His nose, his ears, because that way I can make sure that I can monitor his airway. Now, another way that we make sure that we keep baby's airway open. As I mentioned, that the seat down here is like the foundation of what we're working with, right? So if baby's in a nice deep seat with their bottom, see how their bottom is just a little bit lower than their knees up here? And I know it's a black carrier, might be a little bit hard to see. Turn to the side. Their bottom, Hamilton's bottom, his little plastic cute touche, is a little bit lower than his knees. And if you need help with this, one thing that you can do is just kind of reach inside here and lift your baby up a little bit. So I'm literally lifting their weight with my hand, and then taking this hand and taking the waist belt and just kind of like pushing it in toward me a little bit. Not really up in between me and baby, but getting it real nice and flat on me. And then just kind of sitting baby onto that panel, making sure that their bottom really gets into the panel part, that they're not sitting on the waistband. The carrier is really taking their weight. Then you can kind of lift up on their knees here, make sure that they're really settling into that panel. Ergo Baby, we even do this whole thing where you stick your hands inside the carrier and come up and around and lift up on their knees, which can work in this carrier too. The point is that they're getting their bottom nice and low, their knees nice and high, so that their pelvis can tilt toward you. It's kind of like you picture yourself on a beach right now. Some of you are close enough to the beach. Sounds really awesome. Picture yourself on a beach or in your backyard. Many of us can do that, on a porch, in a hammock. You're in a hammock is the point of the picture. You want to get out of the hammock. It's time to refill your umbrella drink. So you swing your legs over to the side. And now that's where I want you to pause. Your legs have swung over to the side of the hammock. Your knees are up higher than their bottom, higher than your bottom. Your pelvis is kind of tucked in, right? And you can't just hop right up out of the hammock. How hard is it to get out of a hammock? I don't know about you all, but for me, I have to work to get out of a hammock. I have to strengthen my core, push both of my legs down, really propel myself forward. So that's the seated position that we're looking for babies to be in a carrier, with their bottom low, their knees up nice and high, that pelvic tilt, their pelvis is tilted toward you. So their body is really like rounded around yours when that pelvic tilt happens, but also it's comfortable for them to sit that way, and it's ergonomic for their development. It actually helps with their legs in this position, when they can move them freely at the knee. It actually helps develop their hip sockets so they can meet their milestones. So some people are like, your baby won't walk if you carry them too much. The opposite is actually true. We're actually doing a lot of really good exercise here in the carrier. It may seem really passive, but baby's doing a lot of really good exercise just by being in this ergonomic position. So I know some of you have asked about positioning. Is this okay with like, if we call it like a spread squat position with baby? Even for plus size folks, this is a great way to have their legs just kind of around you like so, their pelvis really tucked in, their bottom nice and low, a nice little curve to their spine. And that sets the foundation with that spine curve thing going on that helps babies keep their chin up off their chest, helps keep their airway nice and open. So it's all related. The C, so that's the A, is airway. B is baby's position, and the C is your comfort. And that's where I come in. That's my job, is because if you are uncomfortable in any way, I want you to stop and figure out what's going on. And for some people that might be like, oh, I realized Amy told me about how that clip, it's up here for me. It should be down here, because when it's up here, it brings these shoulder straps together. It really pinches at your shoulders, your upper back. So ergonomics for you, really important that you know, having that clip lower has a reason, and the reason is your comfort. And your comfort is super important to me in my job as a baby wearing educator, because if you're not comfortable, you're probably not going to wear all that much. And if you don't wear all that much, you're not going to get all the awesome benefits of baby wearing, like reduced crying, like more confidence for you, like the ability to multitask, to care for other children, do chores around the house, play video games, eat food with two hands, eat hot food. That's one of my favorite benefits of baby wearing. I want you to get all those benefits, so I want you to be comfortable. I'm checking the questions. Oh yeah, there's so many options now, I know, right? And we've gone through two options so far. We've gone through our Explore carrier. That's the only one that we have that faces out. And this right now is the Free to Grow carrier. Both great options for newborns because they both go down to 7 pounds. They both go up to 45 pounds. Okay, yes, let's talk about some features of other carriers too. They both have that coast option with the mesh panel. You can see this one doesn't have a mesh panel, but this one that we showed before, it's just got that mesh right in the middle there to help keep you nice and cool. A great option for those of you in the southern states, those of you headed into some warmer weather. I'm a little bit jealous. It's supposed to snow here on Thursday. I mentioned plus size options. So the webbing here, we've got these little pieces of elastic, these little loops of elastic at the end of the piece of webbing. And that is to help for, you can like roll up your piece of elastic or roll up the extra webbing so that it doesn't like hang on the ground or get caught on something or whatever. So it comes all the way out to here. So it gets to a really long length. Same thing, I've already got, nope. Same thing with the shoulder straps. Yes, there we go. I've got it. It's all the way as long as my arm, even after I've got it fitted on myself. So you've got a lot of extra room here for, like I said, swapping the carrier back and forth between people of different body types. Let's get this one off. Let's talk quickly about facing out. So we'll go back to the Free to Grow carrier. I think we've got enough time. We can do a quick back carry, and we might just have enough for ring slings also. So there's been some questions, some really great questions about comparing the Tula carriers to like other carrier brands, Ergo Baby and Lila Baby. Ergo Baby is also here at the Prego Expo. Christy did Meet the Heirloom, which is our newest carrier. Tula and Ergo were like BFFs. Tula's newest carrier, Ergo, she demonstrated yesterday, and I think tomorrow, yes, tomorrow, she'll be back for a Babywearing 101 with Ergo Baby, so you can learn in depth a whole lot more about the Ergo Baby features. Tula carriers and Ergo Baby carriers are fairly similar, but the features are just slightly different. Ergo Baby's carriers are mostly like a canvas fabric, where Baby Tulas are mostly now this brushed twill kind of fabric. So these feel just like a little bit more soft, floppy, and cozy right out of the box, where Ergo Babies feel a little bit more rugged, a little bit more utilitarian, but get really soft and floppy the more you use them. They both have sleepy hoods. They both have mesh options. They both have facing out options. It's really, for me, comes down to the look between the two different carriers and the feel of the fit of the two different carriers. Most of the time, I would tell you to go find a Babywearing group so you can try them both on, which unfortunately isn't really an option right now. Because fit is really, I think, the deciding factor for most people. But right now, the look is probably a big deciding factor for most people. Prices are really pretty similar. They're both washable. They're both very plus size friendly. They're both great for, they both have hot weather options. So I don't think that that totally answers your question, but hopefully it gives you a little bit of insight. Really, the biggest differences for me are, like I said, the look and the feel of the fabric right out of the box, which changes a bit over time. So I hope that helps. And the weight is actually the same on both of them. The Tula carriers go up to 45 pounds. I'm pretty sure Ergo Baby carriers go up to 45 pounds as well. Okay, I'm just making sure that I'm going through all of your questions. All right, I think that I'm caught up. So let's talk about the facing out options. So I'm going to take this one off, and when I do that, I'll really quickly show you that t-shirt trick again. Loosen your straps. Loosen your straps. Lift over your head. And there we go. We're out. All right. So this time, just to show off another print, I'll switch to another one of our Explore carriers. And this one doesn't have the coast option, so you can get a little bit of a comparison between the two, but both of them both the coastal like blue and gray one that I had before that had the mesh panel. That's the coast version of the Explorer. So I'm gonna make sure, I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I have all my settings already correct. I have the whitest seat base going on down here. So remember there's snaps in the waist belt that we can snap these down. Really hopefully you can see that okay. My screen is so tiny. There's snaps inside so we can snap that down for our itty bitty newborns so we can get all the way down to 7 pounds. I like to put it on backward because like I mentioned at the beginning, there's this safety elastic right here at the end of the waist belt where they come together. You're gonna wanna make sure your buckle gets through there and buckled. If for some reason, like I've hit it on the wall before and my buckle came undone, I was like, ah, no. The safety elastic, everything is okay. I just buckle it back up again, no big deal. Then let's also make sure we're on the buttons. We're on the right buttons. So the buttons on the outside are for facing toward you. The buttons on the inside are for facing out. Then a really, I guess, easy way, there's some rhymes and stuff that can help you remember it, but you need the buttons to be down so your baby's legs have some space to go around. So whenever you're facing out, give them some space and move down to the lower buttons. This is the pillow that I mentioned before that allows the panel to get higher or lower. When we're in newborn mode, I should have switched it before. I don't know why I didn't. I think it's because that hood, I don't like to demo with the hood. The hood throws me. But when we're in newborn mode, we're gonna take that pillow and we're gonna actually flip it in. So it gives your newborn some extra cushioning back here and just kind of fills in that space. Because there's a little extra space, let's be honest, when we get a 7 pound baby in here. Not too much space. You and your baby can still be together. You can still do a little samba with the newborn. We don't want them sloshing around in there. We want them nice and secure in there. But it gives them just a little bit of extra padding and whatnot. There is too, if you can see, flip around the other way. There's a little bit of a pocket here. So the buttons, the snaps, aren't like right in your baby's face. You can put them inside of that pocket and get them out of the way. So I'm gonna snap it down now because for facing out, we don't need a nice tall panel. The tall panel is great for as your baby gets older. Or even if they fall asleep and they're just doing a lot of head floppiness, you can flip that panel up. As long as you can see their airway, you can monitor their airway, make sure that their chin is up off their chest, all that good stuff we talked about when we talked about safety ABCs. That's the most important thing. I know I love this print too, the gray. Yeah. Okay, so same method that we used before. I'm actually gonna start with facing in. Place baby on my body, bring this panel up, bring these up. Buckle. Hold on to that while I support my baby. Then I let it go and tighten these up. So again, we're in the facing in mode. Got it a little tight there. Whew. With Hamilton, but I've got these buttons set to face out. So let's flip them around. Flipping him around is as easy as getting this chest clip undone. Bring one shoulder down, then bring your baby out. Hello, baby. Flip him around. Grab that leg, bring it through. Set them back into the carrier, and that's it. You put this back up on your shoulder straps, or you put this back up on your shoulder straps back up and buckle. So we want to make sure that our babies are big enough so that their chin really clears the top of the panel, so that their chin isn't resting on the top here, that their mouth isn't, obscured like so, that they can really see the world, talk, all that kind of stuff, and not get their chin irritated by it rubbing on the top of the panel all the time. Great place for their arms is this space. Oh, get your arm out there, baby. Sorry about that, Hamilton. We want you to be able to move your hands freely. Great space for their arms is in the space between the top and bottom of your shoulder straps. And that little loop there, great space for baby's arms to come out. And then their legs, their knees can actually come up a little bit because of this padding here, the way the seat is structured. Their knees can come up a little bit and even have some of that hammock-like seat even when they're facing out. Some facing out carriers have baby's legs down lower, so that would be one of the differences. Some people ask between like Lil Baby and Baby Tula and Ergo Baby. With facing out, their legs are a little bit more down, but with Tula and Ergo Baby, their knees can be up a little bit higher and get more of that ergonomic, that pelvic tilt for all those important benefits and reasons that I mentioned earlier. So that's facing out. Baby needs to, again, chin clears the top of the panel, but also have really great neck control so they can support their own airway. They can keep their own head up. And Hamilton, as you can tell, try to mess with him. His head just keeps coming right back up. So he's got really great head and neck control. Okay, just making sure that I'm keeping up on the questions, but I'm loosening this up. I'm gonna take my chest clip, unbuckle it actually, because I got my hair in there. I was gonna do the t-shirt trick again, but I got my hair in there. Let's keep this carrier on, actually. I'm gonna flip Hamilton around again, and let's do a back carry really quickly. And then we have just enough time. I think we can talk about some principles of ring slams. I'm going to adjust my carrier because, like I mentioned, these buttons, these are just for facing out. That's the only reason you'd use the buttons. They're not meant to like make the carrier smaller for newborns. Making the carrier smaller for newborns is what the buttons inside the waist belt are for. These buttons just for facing out and down so their legs can get around is the best way to have, the right way to have it for facing out. So let's start back again with our facing in. Let's say Hamilton was having a great time facing out, such a great time facing out that he has fallen asleep. So once baby falls asleep, we turn them back in to face us because it's really hard to monitor their airway when they're facing away from us, and it's really hard for them to hold their own airway up when they're in the facing out position. Plus, who doesn't want to snuggle a nice, sleepy, cozy baby? Like, that's great. But you might also want to get some laundry done or something like that. You might want to work on the computer. You might not want to have your sweet bundle right here on the front of you. So if your baby is sitting unassisted, if they can be not in a tripod position, but they can sit and push themselves back up to sitting if they start to fall over. That's really important. If they've reached that milestone, they're ready for back carries. And the reason is these sides are just kind of, they're not open, but they're not completely closed off either. So if baby starts to slump over, we want to make sure that they can put themselves back up to a seated position because it's really hard to reach back and make that happen with your hands. So Hamilton is ready for a back carry because he's great at sitting unassisted. So what I'm going to do is show you the very fastest way to get a baby on your back. And there's so many more different methods out there. YouTube is a great treasure trove for finding different ways to put your baby on your back. And Baby Tula has a great channel with a lot of information that you can trust because you never know when you get into YouTube land. They have a great channel with information that you can trust. This method, you don't have to take off your carrier. So I'm going to lift, remember the webbing slider, the technical term that I came up with? We're going to lift up on that slider so that we can give ourselves lots of extra webbing. Then one arm's going to go underneath that webbing. It looks a little weird. It's going to get weirder because my other arm's going to go above the webbing, or above the shoulder strap. But it's going to get really cool. This open shoulder, we're going to put baby, we're going to move them over this way. I like to use my waist belt as my friend here and my arm as a guide. So I'm guiding my baby around while I pull my waist belt. And then once you get to the point where you're like, okay, my arm can't move anymore. This arm's going to take over. This arm's going to come up and around. And then we're going to keep going. Get this arm through. After this arm goes through, it takes over. This arm through. We tighten up, and that's it. We're in a back carry. So we call that the walk like an Egyptian method, as you go up and down, like so. And then to get them off, you can do the same thing. Just bring them back around. Loosen up your webbing. One arm under, one arm over. Bring them back around. Or if you have a toddler, like I do, I will take one arm and support them back here like this. Undo my chest clip, take out my strap. And once I take one out, my arm comes back to support them. Take out the other. And then you can just kind of have them come over. Again, your waist belt can be your friend. I tug a little bit at my waist belt to nudge them over, and they kind of come into my elbow like this, and I can bring my hand up and over and support them down. Or if you have a toddler who's walking and running, you just get down a little bit and you eye grip and they let themselves go. And the rest of your hike resumes without complaint and with a little bit of cozy connection and having happened between what would have been, you know, a complaint and a complaint. It became a really good fun time. Let's talk about ring slings really quickly because we just have a couple of minutes, but I think that we can do a couple of good things with ring slings in just amount at a time. I think I got to most of your questions. Yeah, first back carries, this is a really great question. First back carries, disclaimer, really important to make sure that we talk about that. Practice over a bed or a soft surface. Have a spotter with you to help. The Walk Like an Egyptian is a pretty good back carry, especially if your baby is already sitting unassisted, has really great torso control. You can communicate with them a little bit, but still having those safety precautions in place when you're first learning is a really good idea. Also keep in mind that it's a new thing for you, but also a new thing for your baby. So give them, you know, a little like patience and grace because they might need it too. Okay, great. I think we got to most of your questions, but if I didn't get to your questions about the soft structured carriers, oh, you know what? I actually really want to talk about this one, the Tula Light, because it's our newest carrier. So can I have a vote in the comments? Would you rather see our newest carrier, which is really great for the heat, it's super cheap, and it's like a 2-in-1 kind of thing, or would you rather see ring slings, which keep in mind, we've got representatives over in the booths at Baby Tula and at Ergo Baby who can answer questions about ring slings, about the Tula Light, about anything. So if you need more like live help right now in the expo, they are available for you until tomorrow. And like I mentioned, customer support at Baby Tula and at Ergo Baby, our BFF company, is also really great and responsive. Okay, I see lots of votes for the newest. So I'm going to show you the Tula Light, which right now you might be like, hey, is that a hip pouch? Are you bringing back hip sacks? I am clearly not cool enough to be slinging any kind of new trends. But this might look like a hip pouch, but we're gonna put it on just like we put on those carriers. It has that same safety elastic in the waist belt. So that might tell you something. Why is the safety elastic there, Amy? It's there because we're gonna put a baby in it. I'm gonna blow your minds. Okay, so it has a roomy sized pouch in here. So you can put your phone, a diaper, keys, a little thing of wipes, probably some other stuff. No problem in there. But then it's got a secret zipper back here in between the pouch and myself that holds a whole baby carrier. It retails for $79. Can you believe that? It's like, when I found out the price, I was like, what? I hope Baby Tula isn't losing money. I'd like to keep my job because a whole carrier fits in here. It goes from 12 to 30 pounds. So you're outside of newborn mode here. You're out, so you're into infant time. 12 pounds is the minimum. And it's still got that detachable sleepy hood. I could take it off if I want to, but in the interest of time, I'm gonna leave it on. And you use it just like the other carriers, except now it's made of this like ripstop nylon fabric. So it's super, super lightweight and it's super, super cool. Like so breathable. Because the fabric is so light. The straps have really they've cut down on the padding. There's like hardly any padding in here, but they're still super comfortable because there's several layers of mesh. And you know how that mesh just has that little bit of like a cush to it? It's got that going on. Oh, let's do the t-shirt trick. One more chance to do the t-shirt trick. I will buckle the buckle in front of me like this, which is also a great opportunity to check if my buckle is in a spot that I like it. And if it's even, take that buckle, throw it over my head, tighten, and you're good to go. It's even faster. Oh, see, brand new webbing. I gotta do that thing. It's even faster than I think I did the other ones. Same steps, though, right? Waist belt's on, baby's on, handle comes up, click, tighten and go. So pretty streamlined sorts of steps. I know, right? And it only $79 because I see some of you are like, I already have a ton of baby carriers, but I think I need it. It's only 79 bucks too, and you've got the 30% off code that I'm pretty sure this is good for. So I would use it because you can't beat this deal. Same sleepy hood, like I mentioned, still snaps up here. Same like key features that you're gonna get from a Tula, but you've got a really generous sized pocket down here. And when you're done with it, I'm gonna take it off so I can show you how to roll it up. When you're done with it, it rolls up super tiny. It comes right now in just a couple of prints, but I have a feeling Tula's always got some really cute surprises up their sleeve, so I have a feeling a lot more will happen. To roll it up, what you want to do is basically like take the straps and everything and fold them into the outside. So not in, fold them to the outside, kind of roll this up, get all the good bits in there, right? Roll it down and then stuff it back in your pouch, zipper back up, and you're good to go. 12 to 30 pounds. $79 retail. I can't remember if I mentioned that. Maybe one of my favorite features of that one. But just exactly what you need, right? Just enough padding, just enough for baby padding too. And it still gives you that hammock-like seat. It still gives you that cozy comfort. You still get really awesome, cute prints that are super quick to put on at, again, a price point that I think is super great. And when you don't have your baby in it, I mean, you are bringing back a style that I think is really cool. Tula Light is what this one's called, and you can find it on babytula.com, as well as the standard Tula, which we didn't talk about today, but it starts at 15 pounds. It requires an infant insert. So if you're starting with a brand new carrier and a brand new baby, I might suggest the Free to Grow, which retails for $179, starts at 7 pounds, goes up to 45, or the Explore. The added feature of the Explore is that it faces out. It retails for $179, but the same weight, 7 to 45 pounds. Remember that our brand ambassadors are over in the booth, so if you've got more questions, you guys have had great questions. I appreciate you chiming in with where you are, where you're from, because I love connecting with people. That's just a little bit, even though I can't see you in person. The discount code is good through tomorrow. I think it's good through the end of the expo. And we are giving away, with the expo, we're giving away one of these amazing Tula blankets, which we didn't even get to talk about, but they're so soft and amazing. And we are also giving away one of our carriers. So make sure that you're in the giveaways. Make sure that you stick around for that stuff. Reach out to us in the booth and reach out to us through email if you have any questions or concerns. It's been great to hang out with you today, and enjoy your baby wearing journey. I hope it helps answer some questions for you. Bye all.